A very beautiful morning to you out there. It's nice doing this with you this morning. It's a beautiful Friday morning, and we promise to make this day very enjoyable, very exciting, and educative for you, each and every one of you. And this morning, I'm not in the studio alone. I'm here with beautiful, delectable Catherine Ago. She's doing this with me this morning. Catherine, looking very radiant.
Thank you. You're also looking very beautiful.
Okay, we want to say thank you for joining us this morning. We have a very, very apt and critical issue to talk about this morning. And in a society where we have men, women, boys and girls doing very well, there must be, a very, very, very starting point. The starting point of everyone, every life is actually the delivery point, isn't it, Catherine?
Yeah.
Okay, and there are people who, contribute to making this process very, very easy for each and every one of us. And these are those in the medical field, especially the nurses and the midwives. The doctors are there to, do the main thing, but the nurses and the midwives are the ones who do the most critical jobs, of bringing every life to
especially the midwives.
Exactly. And so there should be a time when we celebrate these people,
of course,
because they're really doing a very good job. Yes, and once in a while, every year, the World Health Organization has decided to celebrate our midwives and nurses, and this is one of those times. And I know that 5th of every year is used to celebrate every 5th of May every year is set aside to celebrate our nurses and our midwives. And today in the House of Probity, you a very exciting moment because we have a group of nurses and midwives and a doctor backing them up here in the studio with us this morning to talk about what they do, how to do it, and how it affects our economy and each and every one of us in one way or the other. Okay, we're going to take a short break, Catherine. And when we come back, we're going to, have this chit-chat with our doctors, nurses, and midwives. Stay with us. Don't go nowhere. To the studios of River State Television, Channel 22, here in the Garden City of Port Harcourt. Before we went on the short break, we told you that today we've actually set aside this day to celebrate our nurses and our midwives. And the day actually is on the 5th of May every single year. And we are using today to commemorate that celebration. And with me in the studio this morning are two delectable ladies. They're here to talk about the Day of the Midwives in our society. And we have Dr. Catherine ACHESE ORISA here in the studio with us. Doctor?
Thank you.
Okay, we also have Nurse ADAKU BRIDGET NWOSU. You're here with us this morning too.
Thank you. Good morning, Rivers baby.
Okay, ladies, I want to take a special time to welcome you to our studios this morning. Okay, today we are celebrating the Midwives Day, day set aside for midwives in the society, in our country. Okay, what exactly, is the reason for even celebrating the midwives, amongst us?
Well, thank you once more. The nursing and midwifery profession are known as noble professions because we deal with saving lives. And for the midwife, before or at birth, as we are coming into this world, the midwife is there to bring us into the world. And then as we are departing too, the midwife or the nurse is also there to see to our peaceful deaths. So we can't even lay more emphasis on the reason why midwives and nurses should be celebrated. Because of the critical position we occupy in the society, the International Council of Nurses and the World Health Organization deemed it fit that from the 5th to the 12th of May every year, that nurses and midwives should be celebrated.
Okay, and we have a doctor in the house. Sometimes we have the disparity between the doctors and the nurses in the hospitals, And today we're saying that you're coming here with Nurse ADAKU, to talk about their day. That is a really commendable, backup, if I should use that word. Yes. So why do you think doctors and nurses should work together? Because I'm seeing the synergy here that I'm really impressed about.
Doctors and nurses cannot do without themselves. They are 5 and 6. We are always working together. But we know that just like in every family we have children and mother, but definitely the family will not be torn apart. After the rivalry, they will come back together as one. So doctors can't do without nurses, and nurses
cannot do without doctors. That is very impressive. At least with this, we should know that there shouldn't be this acrimony between who is who and who is who should do what and who shouldn't do what, because there's always a line drawn between. You should know your duty, and they should also know their duty. And so there should be a synergy between the nurses and the doctors. But I'm really impressed by the backup you're giving them on that very special day. Okay, we know that this year has a theme, this year's celebration. So what is the theme of this year's celebration?
Yeah, normally, as we start this week from the 5th of May, we start with the celebration of the Midwives Day. And then the theme for the Midwives Day for this year is Midwives Critical in Every Situation. And that means that the midwife occupies a very important position in ensuring that a woman, first of all, gets pregnant. 2, she passes through that pregnancy without so much stress. 3, that she's delivered and she and her baby comes out alive. And then 4, that their lives are also sustained. And that's why the doctor is here. She's going to tell us some aspects that sustains the life of that mother and her baby after that mother and baby has been born. So for the midwives, they celebrated on the 5th of May, and then for the nurses day is usually on the 12th, but we'll start from the 5th and end on the 12th. And then for the nurses day, we have our nurses are featured. That's the major theme of nurses week celebration. And then the issue that caring for nurses strengthens the economies. And when you look at the word care, you know that it is all encompassing. So when you care for the nurse, you're caring for the nurse physically, you're caring for the nurse mentally, you're caring for her socially, you're caring for her economically, you're caring for her emotionally. When you get this aspect of the nurse well okayed, then the nurse will be able to function effectively in the health setup and be able to deliver on the mandate given to her or him. Again, this Nurses Week is celebrated after a woman called Florence Nightingale, the lady with the lamp. She is the modern founder of the nursing profession, was born on the 12th of May in Italy. And so, because of the impact she made in the nursing profession, where she tended to wounded soldiers during a war called Crimean War, you know, she was always going in and making sure that the sanitary condition of that environment was okay, and then tended for cared for the wounded soldiers and made them to be strong. So the week is celebrated after her, Florence Nightingale, who was born actually on the 12th of May. So on the 12th of May, we'll have a wider celebration, you know, that is an international celebration. It's not just here in Nigeria.
Okay, you as a person now, and Nurse ADAKU, the question comes to you. What really inspired you into going into the nursing profession? Because obviously, if this profession came up as an aftermath of the contributions of Florence Nightingale, as you said, you must, be humanitarian related. You must have that empathy for those suffering. And so, as an individual, what's dared you into the profession?
Well, if you look at the theme of this year celebration, you see caring for nurses. So the word care, the word compassion, the word empathy are the words that endeared me.
You're talking about caring for nurses now. Yeah. I thought it was supposed to be the other way around. Nurses caring for patients and those around them.
Yes, of course, the nurses, that is our primary assignment, to care for the patients, to care for the ill, even to care for those who are well. But then, for you to care for somebody, you must also be cared for. And that's why this year's theme was selected based on that. Okay. That the nurse, first of all, is a human being. So, that she's caring for other person doesn't mean that she cannot fall sick, or that she doesn't have some emotional needs or physical needs. So, we are saying that the government of the day, both River States and as it is, here should be able to take into consideration that these nurses need some level of care
some
for them to
they have to be
to function effectively. Yes,
and all the
when people started doing nursing in the early days, they were cared for in such a way that they were given uniforms, their school fees was paid, but these days we pay school fees. But at least the issue of uniform should be considered, because normally we say that uniform makes a man, and most people, they are attracted to the nurse because of the white uniform they wear. So ordinarily government is supposed to be giving us our uniform allowance.
All right,
but that is not done
in everything that concerns the nurses, so that they will also be able to carry out their functions effectively.
Exactly.
Okay, as a doctor, you're here, and in what way do you contribute to the efficiency of the work of the nurses?
We as doctors, we contribute a lot, both to the nurses and then to the patients. This morning I'm here to actually add a little aspect of nutrition and the patient's life, especially as it has to do with postpartum hemorrhage, which is one of the problems we have currently in the health sector, where we have mothers. When we talk about postpartum hemorrhage, we're talking about excessive bleeding immediately after childbirth.
Okay, I really wish we had more time in our hands. But as it stands, we have another, group that's supposed to come in and carry on from where you stopped. And so this is where we, cut the short, and we'll allow Catherine and her other crew come in and finish up where we couldn't. All right, thank you, Dr. Catherine and Nurse ADAKU for joining me this morning. My name is Siberi Ainda. Catherine, over to you now.
Welcome once again. We've been talking about the midwives and the nurses, and this is the second segment of the whole program. Today I will still have to ask some few questions to the nurse here and the doctor here with me. And I know we don't really have much time, but we just have to do a little thing. Most of you have actually heard from the nurse and the doctor who actually spoke earlier. And we still have to hear from this doctor here and the nurse by my right side. I am Catherine Agu, and with me is the nurse
SIKPI, LINUS.
Okay, you're welcome. And Dr.
OGBODU MIDWIVES.
Okay, you're welcome. Without wasting much of our time, I would love you to still throw more light on who a nurse is or a midwife, because to some persons out there, they don't have any differentiation between a nurse, between nurses or a midwife. We always believe nurses are nurses. We don't even know which one is midwife, or different categories when it comes to nurses. So please just throw more light.
Right, thank you, Mrs. Catherine. Okay, nursing is a profession. Okay. Nursing is a profession, and a nurse is who have gone under training. Okay. Under an accredited facility institution. Okay. For a stipulated period of time, and I've been licensed by the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria, which is in line with the Act, the Establishment Act, and that is the only person that you call a nurse. Okay. And a midwife. Okay. Midwifery is a specialty in nursing. Okay. Just like in the medical field, we have obs and gynae, obstetrics and gynecology. Yeah. We have midwifery as a specialty in nursing. However, we still have basic midwifery and basic nursing. Okay. However, I will not go deep into that. Okay. But that is just a preamble. Okay. And not anyone you see on the road with a white uniform is a nurse.
Definitely, that's what people believe.
Yes, the person must have the license and be certified by Nurse and Midwifery Council.
To be able to practice as a nurse. Yes. Okay, and today, as in this year's theme, I see something about nurses are future, caring for nurses strengthens economy. Would you please throw more light on that? I'm still coming to you, Dr. Emmanuel. Yes, because it's their week, so we have to, ask you first.
All right, I think most of us have heard about this saying that health is wealth.
Yes, it
is. Health is wealth. Now translating it to nursing, caring for nurses. How does it strengthen economy? Economy is at least your well-being, living well, being able to, at least your standard of living, what people can survive, how people can survive better in society. So now, caring for nurses, how does it translate to strengthening economy? If you have good health, you can be able to go out there and work and get food for yourself and get the basic amenities that you desire. Then from there, everything is balanced. So strengthening, caring for nurses. You know, most of the times we abandon the carers, the nurses, the doctors, and we focus maybe on other things. Let me say the politicians. We focus on not the masses. So now it is time to care for the nurses. This is the time. This year theme is to care for the nurses, so that it will now strengthen our economy. Not just in way of dashing them money or this, but let the conditions of service, the environment be attractive, be good for nurses of Nigeria to work under. Thank you.
Dr. Emmanuella, from what he has just mentioned, how would you see the assistance? Because I see it as a partnership. You know, doctors can't function without the nurse. You know, they need the nurses to function. And with what's going on today, how is it affecting your own duty as a doctor? You know, considering the way things have just been like going on. I'm still coming to this brain drain stuff because it's really what everyone, you know, have been like. There's a lot of brain drain in the medical sector. But you as a doctor, what are you really going to say about, you know, the nurses, the challenges they face and how it affects you? Because you need them to function.
Exactly. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Nurses are pivotal in every institution and in every hospital because, you know, as doctors, we work as a team. We cannot function, in short, every member of the medical team is very, very important because a doctor cannot function in isolation. If nurses go on strike today, the hospital cannot function. To tell you how key the nurse is in the care of a patient. So we understand that. That's why we are always advocating for our nurses. There should be good welfare for the nurses should be well taken care of, because if these things are put in place, the hospital management would be able to run very well, and, you know, patient care, which is our top priority, would be achieved with that.
Thank you very much, Nurse Linus SIKPI. Talking about brain drain. How does it really affect for those of you who are still in this medical sector in our country? How does it affect you? Because if you check it, so many of your colleagues have left, and based on the workload and so many things, what exactly do you see as the challenge? I would have loved to ask a lot of things, but considering time, I have to just rush a few things, you know, that I feel are key. So what are the challenges you feel, you know, the nurses actually like undergo, and, you know, better solutions and things to actually like, you know, help to go for the situation?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. You know, Jakpa is the talk of the town. And you know, not just nurses, but nurses in majority. You know, nurses constitute over 60% of the health workforce. And like there is a ratio of employment even for a nurse to a doctor, and a nurse to a pharmacist and the rest of the team. Now, the working conditions in Nigeria are so poor that you cannot survive in. So any nurse that is surviving in the health sector of Nigeria must be a superhero. Yeah, it's a superhero because you will go to the hospital, there's no light, you have to use your phone touch to be working, and even in that condition, you don't have enough hands on deck. So a nurse that is supposed to, the standard from the World Health Organization is that one nurse is supposed to take care of just one critical patient. Yes, critically ill patient. While a nurse is supposed to take care of 4 convalescent patients, that is people that are already stable and recovering stage. But in this case, in Nigeria, in Rivers State, a nurse is taking care of 30-something patients. Even in the accident and emergency unit, you see one single nurse taking care of. So you have to dress the patient's wounds. You have to feed, because there are some patients that are unconscious, so you have to tube feed. then you have to give drugs, you have to, a lot of things, you have to check the vitals and so the stress, and a lot of nurses are going down with stress-related diseases,
of course,
cardiac diseases, cancers, and the rest. So a lot of nurses are dying.
Okay, so what do you really feel? What's your own advice? What do you really feel the government should, like, do? Just in very brief, because
government. The solution is not about even accrediting more schools, but employing more nurses.
Okay.
The government just announced that they have graduated 115,000 nurses out there.
Okay.
So absorb these people into the system, let them work, because they are hands. Instead of allowing the hands to go out, bring them in. These are skills, these are scarce skills. Bring them in and let them work in the system. Let us have sufficient manpower in the system.
Okay,
yeah.
Sorry, I have to stop here. Viewer out there, we're really very sorry. I know most of you have lots of questions and a lot of things to actually talk about, because we all know that when you talk about the medical sector, there are a lot of things that comes to our minds. But this is how far we can go onto this program. We believe we will have time to still bring to you what actually comes next concerning the nurses and the midwives. With me, Catherine Ago. Have a beautiful weekend. And
thank you so much. Also have a good weekend.